Now on Coast TV News.
Thanks to sweltering heat, it's cooking up some storms. We now see a strong line that's prompted severe thunderstorm warnings. This line is moving at 50 miles per hour, so it's expected to affect the folks in Cambridge within the next 20 to 25 minutes.
High temperatures along the coast, how people are staying cool.
And inches away from being back home, these two sea turtles made a full recovery. Now it's back into the ocean.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with weather. We're taking a live look right now into Laurel. Looks like clear skies, but as we check in with our first alert chief meteorologist Paul Williams, Paul, things are changing soon.
And it's the same clear skies that's going to pose the problem that we're dealing with. Open skyline gives us more access to heat, gives us more of a trigger mechanism for strong storms already on the way. We are already right now under a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning that all the ingredients are on the table to form a severe storm. Not quite here yet. Now, this covers the entire Delmarva Peninsula. It stays in effect until 9 o'clock. Now, let's dig into the storms right now. Here's where the storms are located on the other side of the Chesapeake Bay. This is a very cohesive and strong line, and it's plowing its way to the east at about 50 miles per hour. Now, we have an active severe thunderstorm warning on the other side, but now it's just gone into what's called a marine warning, which is over the water. We're tracking it right now. We're expecting for it to move into the Cambridge area by 5:39. And as it begins to get more so, this exact cell, we're looking at hitting Cambridge also at about 5:32. So it is indeed on the way, and it's being fueled by the unusual heat that we already have in place. We are watching out for the threat of possible straight line winds, a little bit of hail, and possibility of tornado activity in our immediate area. And then in addition to that, look at our highs for today, into the 90s. That kind of heat feeding into or ahead of the storm that's on the way, and we're hovering in the 90s right now as we speak. So this strong storm is a big concern. And look at the heat index or how it feels. It feels like 100 in Seaford, 106 in Milton, and it feels like 108 degrees right now in Ocean Pines. So that's why we're keeping a close eye on how this is playing out at this present time. This is the active cell that's moving. The worst cell is moving through Baltimore and expected to move just to our north and out of the way. But it's what's coming out of Dunkirk and as well as Prince Frederick that's making more of a beeline right into the western portions of Sussex County. And that's why we're looking at a timing here, to be honest, Maddie and Charlie, right around 6 to 6:30 is when I'm looking for this to really begin to affect us, because there is a slight risk of tornado activity from this same storm.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Before the storms hit us here along the coast, it was the heat that was the big story, cooking everybody all day long. Coast TV News reporter Anna Sofia Roman live in Rehoboth Beach. Anna Sofia, big beach weather for the first full summer weekend.
Maddie, the heat here in Rehoboth is very intense. I spoke with tons of people throughout the day, others local, some others who were just visiting, and all of them told me they're doing at least one thing to stay cool. People walking up and down Rehoboth Avenue and others walking into the ocean. That was the scene in Rehoboth Beach on the hottest day of the year. First-time visitor Tim Michael shares how he's dealing with the heat.
Been here about 4 hours, plenty of water, keep hydrated, and every so often go into the water. The water is beautiful.
Businesses like Archie's were busy all day.
We're keeping cool by getting this lovely orange juice, fresh orange juice, at this little place here.
And when water isn't enough, a frozen sweet treat is always a great option. That's the move Bessie Johnson made today, which is also her birthday.
It is keeping me cool. It's delicious, and I enjoy eating ice cream.
Finding ways to stay cool in the hot days ahead. If you're planning on spending time outdoors, make sure to find your ways to stay cool. Live from Rehoboth Beach, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what's your must-have for beating the heat?
Let's take a look at the results so far. 78% say air conditioning. I feel that. 12% say cold drinks. 5% say wide hat, and 5% say sunscreen.
If you haven't voted yet, you can still do that at coasttvnews.com. You could also leave a comment and use our mobile app. According to the National Aquarium, 2 of the most endangered sea turtles in the world recently made a full recovery, and they were released back into the ocean. Hundreds gathered on the Ocean City beach to see Icky in Mothman one last time. Look at them just making their way there. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zappe is live in Ocean City. Kevin, this was pretty rare.
Charlie, right behind me is where both of the sea turtles went right back into the ocean. And officials say it's been well over 5 years since a public event like this has happened in Ocean City. Icky and Mothman both suffered from a boat hitting them and low body temperatures. But after over 6 months of recovery, they both went for the ocean as bystanders watched from afar. Officials hope more humans are aware of sea life when out on the water.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the injuries that we see are human related. They could be entangled in fishing gear, hit by boats, ingest plastic or marine debris. So a lot of the injuries that we see are related to human activities.
With Icky and Mothman back in the ocean, they both have a second chance at life. I'm Kevin Zappe, live in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
And in related news, there has apparently been a significant spike in strandings of marine animals in Maryland. The DNR says that the 5-year average from January to May was just 10 stranding cases. The state's stranding program says, though, they've responded to 29 animals so far this year. Experts say marine animals become stranded for a whole variety of reasons. That can include everything from old age, disease, or trauma. Anybody who encounters a stranded animal in Maryland, they are asked to keep a safe distance away and to contact DNR.
To national headlines, a new deadline was revealed today for President Trump to make a decision on whether to attack Iran. NBC's Julie Sirkin shows us how Trump has inched closer, authorizing plans for strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, but not yet ordering them to go forward.
Overnight, a hospital in the southern part of Israel was directly hit by an Iranian missile. In response, Israel said it would, quote, increase the intensity of attacks. In Washington, President Trump today once again meeting with his national security team as he weighs a possible military response to Iran. His White House press secretary delivering this message.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president.
A decision to go could provoke an attack on U.S. bases and interests in the region, and it could shut down the critical Strait of Hormuz, the only sea passage for major and oil gas producing countries in the Persian Gulf, causing an interruption in the global energy supply. All of this could convince the president to keep the door open to diplomacy.
Iran can and should make a deal.
But he has also been firm that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And just how far along the country is in developing one appears to be in question. The president and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say the Iranians are close.
And I think they were a few weeks away from having one.
But the U.S. intelligence community, led by the president's own Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, have said that is not the case. But her views on Iran have long been seen as controversial. Gabbard has also been sidelined in internal discussions about the Israel-Iran conflict, according to multiple officials, causing divisions within Trump's White House as he decides whether the U.S. will get directly involved in another foreign war. Remember, the president ran on being a peacemaker. He also pledged to end overseas wars. So his latest posturing has even his staunchest MAGA supporters at odds with one another. Meanwhile, the Senate is expecting to get its first classified briefing on the situation early next week. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
Looking ahead, tomorrow morning in Rehoboth Beach, Governor Matt Meyer is taking action to protect providers of gender-affirming care. Meyer is expected to sign an executive order at Camp Rehoboth that aims to protect the personal data of gender-affirming care providers and patients, as well as protect healthcare professionals against violations for providing this care in the first state. Nationally, just on Wednesday, the Supreme Court has upheld a Tennessee law restricting this type of care for children. Juneteenth recognized on the coast. A look at how people gathered in Rehoboth Beach.
And just a few moments ago, we have a newly updated severe thunderstorm warning that's now reaching its way down towards Kent. The more intense cells are moving to the north, but this entire line is prompted concern, and there's a tornado warning in the most northern portion, which is why we're keeping a very steady and close eye on its development.
But first, equine therapy. We'll show you how one program is helping people on the peninsula. That's up next in our Coastal Connections. Mental health, it's so important, right? But getting help can be really scary. Did you know, though, there's a place in Lincoln that is facilitating healing with some very unique helpers?
As a team, take a minute and pick which one of these guys you would like to work with today.
You're looking at equine-assisted psychotherapy at Compassionate Hearts in Lincoln. This team is working on its communication issues with this horse as a guide. The staff, both human and equine, work alongside a licensed therapist in each session.
It feels a little safer when we put the story onto the horses. We had a mom, we had a parenting program many years ago, and we had this very large horse, and she was kind of up near its head, and the tail kept swishing around. And if you don't know a horse's tail, man, they're sharp. But she kept smacking her. She said, "He keeps hitting me." And we're like, "And you're still standing there." Rather than saying, "Well, move out of the way, silly," we just said, "And you're still standing there." She gets this look on her face, and she says, "Oh my gosh. It's just like my teenager. He keeps pushing me and I keep taking it rather than changing." She recognized, if I make the shift, it's going to shift the dynamic.
It's a concept that Compassionate Hearts says is hard to describe, but undeniable once you experience it. Compassionate Hearts and its program for military families, Courageous Hearts, says many people turn to them because they're more comfortable here than in a traditional counselor's office.
So we kind of ask the client's perspective, and they work through their own stories just by watching the horses and what their perspective is, and then the mental health professional will ask them questions and bring it back to their lives.
Yes, there are many sessions out here in this pasture space, but there is also traditional indoor offices if clients are more comfortable. There's also therapy dogs, therapy donkeys, therapy horses. The whole mission of Courageous and Compassionate Hearts, they say, is to provide a vehicle for communication and healing, and these guys make it happen. A new space for a new type of healing. Compassionate Hearts offers free consultations, and they're actually hosting a fundraiser on June 28th. I'll be the MC. If you want to learn more about it, just head on over to our website, CoastTV.com.
All right, we take a look at what's happening. We have a current severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 9 o'clock in our area. That simply means we have all the ingredients in place, perfectly set to give us an opportunity to see these storms come into fruition quickly, rapidly, and it's moving very rapidly right now. Now, this covers the entire Delmarva Peninsula, so everybody is on notice right now under the sound of my voice. Now, here's the latest look at this storm system. This system is racing very rapidly at about 50 miles per hour initially, and the latest look is going up to 55 miles per hour. So it's gaining momentum, and that's not what we want to see, because when it gains momentum, it's combining what thermodynamic energy we have in place, and it's adding a bit of a kinetic energy aspect to it. So the combination could actually have a Doppling or a growing effect or synergy with one another as it begins to cross over the water, because a lot of folks think just because it crosses the water, it's supposed to lose strength. That's a wives' tale, so to speak. That's not the case. The cell I'm most concerned with is beginning to emerge right over the Chesapeake Bay area, and this is the tracking that I put on it. So if you're in Easton, 536, Federalsburg, 554, and the folks in Seaford, be on the lookout for this particular cell that's actually, hold on a second, it's actually creating a little kidney bean sign. I'm not trying to spook you, but when we see a kidney bean sign here, this little kidney bean, if it becomes more of a pronounced kidney bean, that means it's beginning to develop circulatory aspects, which means it could turn tornadic. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. If I have to break programming, I will, okay? So there's no need to panic until I tell you to, and I'm telling you not to at this point. Easton, the entire line pushing by 531. Cambridge at 541, and then it's expected to hit Milford by 611. Since it's moving so fast, that kidney bean is getting even bigger there. It's going to emerge over towards Fairbanks, St. Michael, Castlehaven, Easton, and then headed towards Trapp, just north of Cambridge. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, and we're seeing some early circulation signs for it. So we're looking at about a 36-mile track from that cell, okay? It's moving, it's got 36 miles to go, but remember, it's moving at 50 miles per hour, so within the hour, easily. Then you combine the fact that we have temperatures in the low 90s right now, dew point temperatures. Okay, this one I think is an anomaly, 101 for the dew point temperature, but we're looking at exorbitantly high dew point temperatures right now, and I think the models and some of the equipment is having problems handling it. Strong winds are a concern, hail as well, at least a moderate concern. There's at least a low-grade threat of tornadoes. Now, by 7:30, I'm looking for this to march through Georgetown with reinforcing southerly breeze out of the southwest to keep this going strong, pushing across the region, and then exploding very quickly across Highway 54 and 24 between Millsboro and Salisbury, and then along Highway 50 moving just to the south of Selbyville at 9 o'clock. That's one of our models. Now, another detailed model we have is on the other side. This is my biggest concern. At 8 o'clock, Milton, Longneck, Lewis, Rehoboth. I'm calling you out right now because I need for you to realize that's where I'm looking at. The model run is saying that's where we're going to see the biggest threat. And because it's moving so quickly, it's not a slow mover. The quick movement indicates that's got a better percentage or higher likelihood of it becoming severe or possibly tornadic. Not so much for Willers or Ocean Pines, but we are expecting at least strong storms with straight line winds in excess of 60 miles per hour there. After we catch our breath for tomorrow, we're looking for more sunshine. It won't be quite as warm. So, summarizing tonight, 64, storms early, then clearing skies. Tomorrow, a whole lot better. Fabulous and lower humidity. Tomorrow's is a glad we made it kind of a day. And then on Saturday, we go back to warming back crazy into the 90s. Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. And if you didn't know it, Friday's the first day of summertime, and we're starting off with a serious and severe bang.
All right, Paul, thank you. Juneteenth commemorates the end of slavery in America. Here along the coast, people celebrating that fact. In Rehoboth Beach, locals gathered at the YMCA. There was a question and answer session with Joseph Lawson from the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice. Lawson believes the holiday is important because there are still battles that need to be fought.
Coming up, rare safety warning issued. Why federal officials are sounding the alarm on some Boeing planes. Next on Coast TV News at 5.
National Transportation Safety Board is issuing a rare urgent safety bulletin warning of potential problems with the Boeing 737 MAX. The recommendation follows 2 incidents on Southwest airline flights that hit birds. The NTSB found issues with the engine that, when damaged, can cause smoke to enter the cabin and the cockpit. Smoke in the cockpit is classified as an extreme danger in aviation, as it can overcome and incapacitate pilots.
President Trump has extended the deadline for TikTok's parent company to sell the short-form video app to an American owner by another 90 days. Today, Trump signed the order granting a 3rd extension for the Chinese company to sell its platform so it can continue to operate in the U.S. Trump said he believed the Chinese president would be amenable to a deal to sell the wildly popular app.
Each Friday, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV. It's full of features, cool things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/signup.
Weather is the big story of the day as we look into Ocean City. We'll have one more check on your forecast, including a new warning after the break.
During our commercial break, Sussex and Kent County have been placed under a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. We're tracking it right now. For Kent County, it was issued for 6 o'clock just before we went to break. And this is the cell they're concerned about here that could veer closer towards the Milford area and most northern portions of Sussex. Then the cell that we were talking about previously, it's spreading out. So it's not quite that beam pattern, which is good, but it's still strong enough with 60-mile-per-hour wind and small hail. And it's tracking across Easton, expected to hit Federalsburg by 5:56. Seaford by 6:06, Milford by 6:17. This is a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that's now active throughout Sussex County, particularly for Highway 13 near the Bridgeville area, Federalsburg, Collins, Pond, Acres, and Seaford until 6 o'clock for this evening, prior to our 6 o'clock show. I need you to be very weather aware and conscientious of that. Our umbrella giveaway winner, Jack Lagan. You can keep up with the forecast with our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Mandales, Brockstedt, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We will keep you updated, and we're going to keep you updated on our app as well as Facebook between the newscasts, so you are weather aware.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, also remember, get the app as Paul just talked about.
Inside Edition is up right now.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.